Okay, so now it's May 18th, 2022 at 8:13 in the morning, and I know I'm looking rough, people. Keep in mind, I am 60 years old, and I've been pretty much a workhorse my whole life, okay? And I'm working harder than I've ever worked in all my life because of, one, my age. Two, I struggle with my eyes and this pressure and the ringing in my ears, right? The pressure in my head and whatnot. And the eyes are getting really bad. Now, you know, I was thinking, like, when did my eyes... Okay, I have open, I think it's open. It's called open angular glaucoma. That is not as bad as the closed one. Glaucoma is not curable, but neither is a macular degenerate disease. But they can slow it down, they say, with those drops. It's the only thing that slows it down. It doesn't stop it, per se, as it slows it down. But the thing is, when I was... See, I started seeing an eye doctor when I went for an eye checkup around the age of 40. And that's when they said I needed to go to an emergency because I had high, pressure in my eyes, right? And they hooked me up with a eye specialist. And that guy was really mean to me, very rude. Gave me 3 different drops. And one that really burned my eyes really bad. Anyway, I guess I did a follow-up at some point. Probably requested another eye specialist because I did get a different one. And she gave me a 1 drop, once a day one. But as I'm going through this process, my eyes were getting worse. They weren't, I wouldn't say getting better. Okay, the dollar store glasses were getting stronger and stronger. Right? And the 1 pair of glasses that I did get that the government paid for was, upper part, I guess, was for just whatever, and the bottom part was for reading, which in the end, I couldn't walk around the house with them, with the 2 parts like that, because I do too many things, people. And the reading part one was good for, like, if I was in the sewing room doing beading or, like, just really don't move, just kind of focus. Maybe I used the sewing machine a little bit, I don't know. I remember doing beading with them. I didn't need to read with them, though, because I could still use dollar store glasses. So I never really used those glasses for anything other than when I was in the sewing room, which we know isn't very often, especially in the last however many years, right? Anyway, I've been up a long time already, right? And I've been doing paperwork. But as I'm doing this paperwork, and I'm really struggling with my eyes, and what I'm noticing is, because I'm struggling so hard to see, right? Especially with this paper stuff and, the computer stuff that I do, because, I do videos on video camcord, and then I have to convert, I have to put them on the computer, then I have to, put them into an editor, then I got to convert them over, and blah, 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 and then I got to upload, and blah, 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 and I'm always looking at, and I'm frying out my eyes. Okay, whatever. I've been doing that for years. The point is I'm really working my eyes hard, and I'm finding kind of making me more dizzy, right? Because I'm, this one is always veering off and making everything go like this. That's why I'm saying I think I'm going to have I'm actually thinking to get a patch and just walk around with the one eye to see if the dizzy part of this goes away, because my brain is working too hard to see. Right? And because this one is so messed up, I don't know. Anyway, right? I maybe some people don't believe me, Maybe they think I'm calling wolf. Oh, you're always crying and complaining that you're the victim. Oh, you're always complaining about something. It's always, you, oh, woe is me, oh, woe is me. Well, I'd like to see you do the things that I do and have done and have faced and have lost. And then have to deal with this shit as you're waiting to go see an eye doctor that more than likely will, I don't want to say F you over, boo-boo you over, but, I went to the eye doctor. He gave me drops, whatever. Right? My nose starts running more, right? And, but the eye's pressure is still there. They say, oh, you can't feel it, the glaucoma. But I'm saying, well, I'm telling the eye doctor, well, I can, right? I can feel it, people. And they say, oh, no, you can't. I said, well, I can. They ignored that. And, I asked about the pressure in the head and ignored that, right? In terms of the ringing of the ears and just the general pressure and whatever. And my eyes just got worse, people. The dollar store glasses, they're at the maximum that you can buy in a grocery store or any other store, and only some of them work. Not all of them. I'm lucky to find one. If I go into some place where there's, you can buy them anywhere from $1.25 in the good old days from the dollar store, or for $16, $17, $18 at London Drugs, same kind of glasses. I'd go through all the freaking glasses that were at where I was with my magnification, and I'd find the one or two that would work, and I'd buy them. Got to the point where I'm at the max with the dollar store glasses, but I can only wear these glasses, people, for just general all shit, whether I'm making dinner or peeling potatoes. And oftentimes I'm having to go like this because I can see clearer versus seeing with these, because these are getting old and they make it a little more foggy. But then there's other times when I have to have them on, especially if I'm peeling potatoes. But the glasses that they gave me, I can't do shit with except maybe go to the forest and just walk and look straight ahead of me and don't look at anything else, because you're not going to freaking see it if you get within 2 feet or a foot in front of those glasses. So I can't use them in the kitchen. I tried them in the yard. I can't use them in the yard. I can't use them anywhere. I can't use them for walking around here. I rely on dollar store glasses. The only one pair that works for the computer and basically works for everyday shit. So I'm like, well, why can't they give me a dollar store kind of glass, right? With just a little bit more magnification. Why do they give me something that I can't use? That's the first question, okay? So, okay, anyway, we know about that over two I'm telling you, people, when I spit out that big green gobby crap 2 times onto the cement by the time I got to my car after seeing the eye doctor, okay? This shit was like this. Okay, 2 big gobs glowing green on the cement because of the freezing agent. And they did it in unison with each other, because what happens is you go in, right? And the technicians, they put you through all these tests. They put the machine up, but, and they press on your eye, they check your pressure, and, they want you to do this and they want you to do that and blah, blah, blah. But before, they put the machine on the eye to check the pressure, they put the freezing agent in your eyes. Okay, so that happened, right? But you don't know how much they're putting in, people. So then you wait after they're done doing whatever they're doing to see the eye specialist. So you go in, and she says, well, before I start checking your eyes, I want to put some more. That's what she said. More. I want to make sure. Right? As if. Okay? Right? So what am I supposed to say? Right? So she does. By the time I got to my car, people, I spit out 2 bottles of freezing agent. Okay? You can't tell me that didn't affect my eyes. Okay? In terms of deteriorating. That's why I say, when I go see the eye doctor, my eyes don't get better. They drop. And I go for a stronger magnification. I eventually stop doing the drops, okay? Because of this shit, as if I don't got enough problems when I'm working in the yard, right? You've seen me, okay? I'm like doing the farmer shit, okay? In terms of working with the grit, the morning glory, the histamines, right? Just whatever, the fucking mud, raccoon shit, right? You know? Bricks, gravel rocks, dirt, mud, just whatever. You know? And then I just get so busy, people, because that whip is on my back, man. Like the fucking city of Surrey had me out in the yard for like 10 fucking months. I can't remember the year, but I'm doing my paperwork. I'm sure I'll come into it. It's all documented on YouTube. As if, okay? When I gotta not lose my house and get out in the freaking yard, okay? So time goes by, right? Last time I seen the eye doctor, she gave me this, I think it's still here, yeah. This fucking bottle. Well, no, she didn't. What happened was she ordered, like, I went and seen her. Whenever it was, a couple years ago, right? And that's when she told me that if I drove a car and I got into an accident, even if it wasn't my fault, I'd be responsible for the accident because I was getting to the point of almost being legally blind. Okay? This was a couple years ago. This is not what I wanted to talk about, but that's okay. It's important to understand this, though, because this is what I'm having to cope with, and as I'm going through these papers, and I'm asking myself, how did your eyes deteriorate, like, boom, all of a sudden? Because 6 months ago, you could read this shit. 4 months ago, I could read this shit, but I can't anymore, people. And you know, I just keep thinking about that day when my landlord's son came over. I mean, I don't get it. They came over, they were all friendly and happy and joyful, like jovial. They were, you know, her son was jovial, right? They wanted to see the windows. I've offered these windows to my landlady a long time ago. I said, have somebody build you a little greenhouse, do whatever you want with them, because, you know, right? They're beautiful windows. Anyway, they wanted to see the windows. Okay. So we're up by the windows, and, you know, he can clearly see that something needs to be repaired in terms of house repair, like the gutter, and right? He can see that, but I'm not pressuring him to repair it right now with my landlady standing there. She knows, right? It's not like I haven't tried over the years. So anyway, he's focusing on the window, and I'm like, okay, so we're done with that. And then we start walking, and we get to the front, okay? Don't forget, I have energy weapons documented going through my yard, okay? And in my house. So I know they exist. They had me standing first. Okay? He stood over here, and my landlady stood over here. I'm just trying to give you an idea, right? I don't know, he just went off on me, people. All of a sudden, from night to day. Just fucking went off on me. After that was all said and done, I came inside and I started crying, and I did a video. And my eyes went cloudy, where I could barely see anything for about 4 hours. Go into my videos and you'll find that, and you'll hear me say that. It took 4 hours or more for my eyes to get rid of the cloudiness. It's like being in a hot box room where you can barely see because of the smoke that's in it. Okay? Like, literally, you can barely see. Okay? That, like a deep fog. You're in a deep fucking, boo-boo fog. Okay? It took 4 hours for that to clear out. Now, I've had that happen to me once or twice or 3 times or whatever over a course of years and years and years, and it only usually lasts about anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes. That would be it, and it would be gone. So with that, I never really, I don't want to say got worried per se, as I've been busy, people. Okay? And because every time I go to the doctor, when it comes to eye doctor, they're always saying that I've got either between 40 or above 50 PSI all the time, all the time, all the time, all the time. Except for maybe when I'm using those drops, right? If I use the drops for a week, the PSI will drop a little bit, it will drop. I don't know how much it drops, but it drops, right? It's the idea of me having to use them every day as I'm working, okay? I can't say it any other way, right? And then, I don't want to say being sabotaged, but, if I'm spitting big green gobs of freaking whatever glowing under the sun, of all things yet, it really does make you wonder. And even when you're using the drops, your eyes are still deteriorating because you're having to go get stronger dollar store glasses. So, if my prescription runs out, I don't go back. Because if I don't keep up with the yard, I get threats of eviction. Right? Obviously, I have to keep up with dishes and laundry and cooking and yard and paperwork and everything that I'm doing, like in today's term, right now. Right? So, okay. What am I saying here? So what I'm saying is, and even then I question it, did I get hit with an energy weapon, people? Because I wouldn't be surprised. Because whatever happened out there just came out of freaking nowhere. I didn't expect it. In my opinion, I didn't deserve it, right? I couldn't understand it. It affected me in a very deep way. Because I came inside and I started crying, and I had to hold back the cry, wake up before you start crying kind of thing. I mean, right? My dream is telling me I'm going to be coming into a lot of crying, but don't cry. And I want to cry even today, yesterday, the day before, as I'm going through this paperwork, as I'm going through freaking memory lane, whatever it is, people, right? And I'm pushing it back. Even now, I want to cry because, if I got hit by an energy weapon, like I'm coming to the conclusion that my house was fucking bugged before I even moved in, people. It was because that freaking Project Bluebeam crap was done in 2011. Got that on video. As I go through shit, I'll bring it back up if you haven't seen it by now. I'm putting things into playlists, okay? That stuff never went away. You just don't see it all the time. The camera can pick it up. Cell phones, I don't think so much. It depends on the cell phone maybe. Because I think they have filters on them, right? Because Shimei's camera picked up the one that went over Julian's shoulder. So cell phones can pick them up. But you have to really pay attention and look at these things in order for your eye, the physical eye, to see it. And even then, you have to slow down oftentimes the frame rate as the video is playing into slow speed so that you can see frame by frame by frame what goes through. Because it's like in split seconds. It's split seconds of the second. So if you got 1 second, there's like 4 or 5 seconds, split seconds in that 1 second. Okay? That's when you're going to see it. Within 1 to 2 seconds of 10 split seconds within those 2 seconds. Okay? People aren't going to sit there looking for energy weapons, just document that they're being zapped. But I don't have to look because I've already found them, people. And I really I've never had that cloudiness hang for over 4 hours. And with that said, I'm wondering if that's when something happened. And that's why I'm really struggling now. to the point that I can't even read my own writing, people. I can't even read my own writing. I can't even write straight on a freaking line anymore because of this eye going, right? And then it makes it want this one to go that way or do that or go over there. I don't know. But look, do you see this? Where am I? I wrote all this when I went to court with Fraser Health Authority. Okay? They're in relation to the various legislations, acts, rules, those kind of things. Right? If you notice, this one says the healthcare consent. Okay? That directly relates to Uncle John. All right? Okay? And if you notice, I'm using dollar store glasses. But everything's dark. Very dark and little fuzzy. I can't read it with both eyes because this one's going like this. This one. Bouncing around. But as soon as I cover it up and I can position myself, but these are my regular everyday computer, run around, do whatever. Oftentimes do this if I'm in the kitchen, but if I need them, I go like this, you know, depending on what I'm doing. So, you know, now mind you, well, you see it's not dark in here though. There's lots of light in here, right? This is what I'm saying. Like what happened to my eyes that just kind of went bing outside of maybe being zapped outside on that day. When I was standing with my back to whatever came up behind me and quite possibly zapped me so that when I came inside for 4 hours and a bit, my eyes were just knocked out. And I never recovered from it, people. And then I had to live basically, because you know I spend a lot of time in my kitchen. That's documented in my videos. Don't forget, I was underneath a fluorescent light for how many years? 11? And then when the freaking baluster finally went, right? I was in the dark for over a month. What, 5 weeks or something like that? Basically. Until finally Tisha said, Mom, you can't live like this. I'm going to go get an electrician for you. I'll pay for it, blah, blah, blah. I will take it up with the landlord. The landlord actually did pay $200 out of the $350. But then she also told me she's not going to fix underneath the bathroom, underneath the kitchen sink because she's selling the house. So now I'm bugging Tisha to get Alex over here and hopefully he'll get here next week. So Alex does all this. He snakes out the pipe downstairs when it clogs up because whatever they did with the mainline pipe, they never did fix the freaking drain. Right? And he's changed toilets for me before, but my landlady bought the toilet. So anyway, that's not the point. The point is I was outside. Something happened, people. Something happened that day. Whether it was stress or whether it was an energy weapon, and just with the whole situation and how it unfolded and what it means in terms of forcing me out into homelessness so that I can accept it and be happy, right? Do you understand what I'm saying here? Get over it. You just get used to it. You're never going to have a house like this again. You need to get the hell out because I want to look after so-and-so and so my grandkids, and I want to make sure I have somebody long-term. I don't want it in long-term care. I want private care and, and blah, and I can't blah and just whatever. Is that what destroyed my eyes? Just the stress of that? I don't want to call it gaslighting, but it's kind of like gaslighting, right? And I've been trying to deal with it for years, Like I say, if you want me to fucking leave, then go talk to your kind, go talk to your people, go talk to your freaking, I don't want to say partners in crime, but, you know, go talk to your cohorts, go talk to your business partners, go talk to your family, go talk to your friends about making things affordable versus exploiting the poorest of the poor for every dollar that you can get as you're trafficking organs and human beings. Knowing that we can't come back and fight for our families because of what's going on. Right? Right? Don't ask me to buy appliances and then tell me to get rid of them because I can't find another fucking house to afford to rent because this guy next door is hooked in with a city program that's bringing in all these immigrants that's replacing my family. And get all the fucking, boo-boo perks. They're going to evict the whole block, but they'll house that family before they'll house the Canadian-born people. We know that. And because I talk about those things, obviously there's players in the mix that don't want it to get out there. That's why my channel is still suppressed. You know, I talk about serious stuff, people, real life stuff that affects real families in the multiples of tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, actually millions of people when you take it to the United States of America. Something like 56 million people are below the poverty line. And how do you think they're being treated? I tell their stories. Because for whatever reason, they're being drowned out. How can you drown out 56 million people and their living circumstances and how they're being treated, right? In terms of news media and all this other stuff and, you know? And now we're going into a food shortage. We're going into a major food shortage. We're going quite possibly into war. We're going into hyperinflation, stagflation. What else do they call it? There's a housing crash coming in the United States because of interest rates. Right? And just the whole 9 yards. And my landlords want to kick me out. Right? They don't even say good luck. They don't even say, well, let us help you find another place. Because they know there is no other place. Because they know what they're doing, people. So in the meantime, I'm getting fucking zapped. Because after that 4-hour little stint, I can barely read my own writing. Never mind stuff printed on paper. So, I've been going through paper now for about 4 days. Right? Little here, little there. Okay? And of course I've been doing it this morning. Because, you know, I have to get on with it. Right? And I've decided that on the first day of court, this is what I've decided. On the first day of court, I'm bringing the kids with me as a meet and greet for the judge. So that when he throws it out with his little mini trial, he'll have a permanent memory of what he's done in terms of who he threw out of this courthouse. Andre keeps saying, because I told Andre, I already warned him, I said, Andre, Nana's going to be really, really busy for the next 3 months. And my landlady wants to throw me out. And if she's not throwing me out, she's scaring to throw me out. And that's enough to put more pressure, okay? Because my brain is overthinking and I try and not think about it, but I can't help it. And then and when I do, I tell myself, fuck, if she wants to throw the fucking shit out, have a bin come, and any of her friends, the fucking pit bulls over there, I don't give a shit. I'm just going to keep doing. Okay? Because it's important that I do it for my grandkids. Right? Uncle John, like I said, is waiting for me. And then when I think, oh, it would just be so much easier if you were dead. You wouldn't have to worry about any of this shit. And I'm like, no, think like that. Don't think like that, because if you think like that, you know, it's going to come soon enough anyway. You've got your grace there already. Your grace is already in the bag when it comes to, when it's your time to go, you're going to go. Unless, of course, you're like some kind of morbid, want to be a transhuman god in a half-human robotoid freaking body that you think you can download your subconscious into. That's not my style, okay? I'm not interested in trying to rule the planet as a god that's plugged into a freaking battery, okay? So when my time comes, my time comes. And I tell myself this every day when I start to doubt myself, or when I'm ready to start crying because of the, oh, woe is me. You have no right to cry. You have no right to complain. You have no right to talk about anything. You're not the victim. Now give me my money, right? Or get out of my house, right? Or whatever it's going to be, okay? So, and then I remind myself that when it's my time to go, that's when I'll be crying that I want to stay, because I don't want to leave the kids. My grandkids and my kids. But mostly my grandkids. Amari and Andre. And of course, little Elaine and whatnot. Right? So I struggle with that every day, people, among other things that I struggle with. And I'm like, okay, well, now that you've got that straight, then get on it. Freaking do what you need to do while you can do it. Whether you can see well enough or not. But I ask myself, what happened within the last 6 months or less where you just, something happened, people? Okay? Well, I know what they're going to say. Well, it's untreated glaucoma. What did you expect? Yeah, well, there is energy weapons in my yard, so why don't you acknowledge that? And that's the point of going to court. Okay? I can't go see my family doctor because he told me to take him to court because of the government and their employees' shenanigans. So they've disconnected me from a doctor that can fill out a disability form so that maybe I can get a little bit more money and maybe might be able to move out into a overpriced, gouged house with electrical problems, plumbing problems, roofing problems, yard problems, fucking who knows what kind of problems. There's going to be some kind of problem though, okay? And I'll be starting all over again with those problems. As I'm being told, if you don't like it, you can move. As if I have the energy for that, people, at this point in my life. Okay, stay focused. So, I'm like, okay. You know, your time is coming. And when that time comes, you'll be crying to stay. But it will be too late because your time is coming. So don't wish death sooner than when it comes. Even when you feel like that's the best alternative to deal with the stress. I struggle with that right now almost every day. And I remind myself, oh, and then I say, okay, well, why are you doing this stuff? Why are you pushing so hard? Well, we know why, people, but at the end of the day, the common denominator right now, as for all the, I mean, everything is for all the right reasons, okay? But I've got, like, Amari really needs to be looked after when I'm gone. And not rely on handouts from the government in terms of their programs, where the caregiver calls up and says, we want transportation, and then they're insulted on the phone where you can take a bus with him. And then, right, went through all that shit. Another video posted. I don't want the caregiver to ever have to worry about that. Okay? I want Amari to have basically private care. I'm not saying there can't be public care in there. I'm just saying that whoever the caregiver is needs to have the resources to be able to provide quality private care to Amari. And that would ease up on the government, burden to pay for the minimal amount of whatever care Amari needs as he ages. And as he ages, he becomes less important because he's not cute and cuddly anymore, and they can't throw around the word child. Right? Once he's an adult, he becomes less important to the great grand scheme of things when it comes to government looking after people with disabilities. So that is more reason for me to, and as well as Andre, right? Keep the boys together so that they can be the best that they can be between the two of them, with the assistance of their family in terms of my son and my daughter and my other grandchildren. Keep the family together. But the rock and the guiding force and the common denominator is Amari and Andre. So that's the third thing that I remind myself as I do this. You're doing this for them. You have to do this. There's not you are. It's you have to follow through. No matter what you're going through with this crap or anything else around you, when it's like, the axe is coming, right? Right? You're going to be faced with an argument because you're not moving out, right? They're going to come and they're going to say something, do something, and then all of a sudden my eyes are going to freaking cloud over and they're going to stay clouded for 6 hours. And then after the fact, then I won't be able to see nothing. So this eye drop that they gave me, when I went to go get it, they came in with a generic. And because I didn't want to pay the extra money for the other ones, right? But it turned out I couldn't. This is the same bottle I opened up. I can't squeeze it, people. When I try to put it in my eyes, I can't. I'm not strong enough. I can't squeeze the bottle to get the drops out. So needless to say, with me doing whatever I was doing when I was doing it, what year was this? Because this is the last time I used eye drops. I got another bottle, but I never opened it because this one's full. Because I can't use it. I can't squeeze it. When was it? This was done in November of 2020. So the last time I used eye drops would have been in November of 2020, and the bloody thing is full because I can't use it. And I just got busy, people, because I have a full workload. And then in 2021, because of what our governments are doing, I did the food prep. I did the food prep so that I could pay rent and not worry about food. And then I'm being told to get out as I'm being zapped. And my eyesight is deteriorating even more in a space of freaking 4 hours. Was it stress that did that? I don't know. So, why did I turn on this video? It was, oh yeah, I remember. I'm going to end it on this because it's important. Oh yeah, that's another thing. Back to my videos. I put, I don't want to say I put a lot of effort into my videos outside of the mental massage to get people to think, just think. Think on various subjects, obviously, right? But for whatever reason, I don't know. People are just comfortable with calling each other down, you know, trying to get people to chase after other people. Like, you know, just to hurt other people, to gossip. In terms of like these reaction channels and this kind of stuff that I listen to. And they get like anywhere from 1,000 to 11,000 views to gossip and to call each other down and to sick a dog on a dog, you know, sick a bitch onto a bitch. You know, somebody should do this, and if it was me, I would do that. That's all you have to say. If it was me, I would do that, to encourage somebody to go off and do it for you. There's a cycle around group bullying. Okay? The one that's usually the bully, quote unquote, isn't the one that necessarily goes out there and bonks the person on the head. It's the one that stands back and puts the suggestion that so-and-so should be bonked on the head. And then somebody in the group will go and do it for them, while the one that instigated will stand back and watch and not take any responsibility as to how they encouraged that to happen in the first place. Okay? That's all when it comes to all these different types of reaction channels, and there's like several of them, right? And I just don't get it. I don't, like, are these women and men, mostly women, do they not realize that within 1 to 2 years they're going to go to the grocery store and whatever they think they're buying right now might not be so readily available? Are they still going to be beating up and putting each other down as they're right? Or is that when they're going to talk about maybe some of the things that I talk about? They don't seem to be interested in illegal organ harvesting, even though these are mostly black women that I listen to which I know that they're not naive to the fact that blacks in the United States of America are the #1 target when it comes to illegal organ harvesting, and have been for years and 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 years. So why they wouldn't want to address that issue, I don't know, outside of it doesn't draw the crowd. And that's not what gets people excited. What gets people excited is gossiping and finding out a way to hurt somebody else through that gossiping without really settling anything, because when you go back months later or even years later, it's the same freaking people doing the same freaking gossip. They just change the names and a few situations to make it look like it's new content, but it's the same crap. So what happens is it makes me think that some of these people are operating on a script, right? So that it boosts their views up so that they can get their YouTube money, their donations, and all this other crap. And I'm like, okay, well, the talk, and I'm like, okay, well, whatever. But sooner or later, that clock is ticking. And for as much money as you think you're going to have, or for as much money as you do have, because you're going to need a lot of freaking money in order to be able to buy the food that you want, to override everybody else that's standing in line that don't have the money. Because it's going to come to that, right? In terms of food, like with the food shortages. And they don't even address it, not even in the least little sense, because it's almost like it's almost like they feel like they never have to worry about having enough money, quote unquote, to buy food. Well, everybody else can't find it. And if they do, they won't have the money to afford it because it's just costs too much. So people like me on YouTube, you know, I get 50 freaking views on legitimate court cases that basically was the tip of the iceberg that affected tens of thousands, 80,000 to be exact, in the province of British Columbia, Canada, in 2021 and 2020, when everybody went on lockdown and those old people weren't allowed to see their family members. Okay, why doesn't somebody react to that? Because it was going on in the States too. Right? But they don't care, people. They don't care. Now, YouTube is probably shadow banning my channel. I'm sure they still do that, right? And that's where I have to remind myself. Just one day at a time, do what you can in a day. Right? It's your responsibility to, I guess you could say, look after your grandkids. Give it your best shot. Hold the government to account, right? Because after you're gone, right, there needs to be something for them, people, okay? Because the government is responsible for putting them in a position that they're in regards to the gang stalking and the targeting of my family that resulted in death, injury, and harm over a period of 19 years. We'll take it from 2003, but really I can take it to 1998 with the birth of Tisha, and that's where I can really pinpoint it. Okay, well, actually, and I could even say 95 was Shimei. Okay, because I'm going to be listing something down from my medical file from 1995. And if you want to know what it is, I'll tell you what it is in terms of how they tweak their files. Okay. I went into labor with Shimei. It was great. I was working with the dancers. I had orders up and down the Dell stairs, the old bird. That's what put me into labor. Shimei was my, fourth child? Fourth child. I was 1 week early with her when I went into labor. My water broke in the kitchen at midnight or whatever the heck it was. John and I, we were cracking jokes, whatever. I had a towel between my legs. I loaded up with Uncle John, the kids, into the car. I drove my ass with my water leaking out into the towel. I drove the car with Uncle John and the kids to my neighbor's house who looked after the kids so that I could go to the hospital and give birth to Shimei. Well, Uncle John and I are cracking jokes, okay? I'm telling you how Shimei came into the world. And now I drove home with the towel between my legs as my amniotic fluid was leaking out. Got into the house. We called a taxi. Punjabi man came and picked us up. Okay? I had the towel still between my legs. Uncle John and I were still cracking jokes. Now we're in the taxi with the Punjabi man, and he's cracking jokes with us, telling us not to have the baby in the car. So we're cracking jokes, all three of us, all the way to the Surrey Memorial Hospital. We get to the Surrey Memorial Hospital. Everybody's still cracking jokes. I'm now in a wheelchair cracking jokes with the nurse that's pushing me off to the labor delivery room. And Uncle John's, walking with us, okay? And then we get into the labor room, right? And we're still cracking jokes and stuff like this, okay? And by this time, I don't know. I don't even know if they have the times listed correctly on my medical files, because I know I was only in the hospital for a couple of hours, okay? And I gave birth to Shimei. That's how fast Shimei came out, okay? Once my water broke, Shimei was born in like 3 freaking hours, and we were cracking jokes with the whole bloody thing. And we were even cracking them with the Punjabi taxi driver, okay? I mean, it was fun, people. Like, seriously. If you ever gave birth, you would know what's fun and what's not fun. Shimei was fun. So, okay, then, at the time, I couldn't remember having the epidural because, honestly, for what it was going on, I didn't need it. But I remember the nurse because when I got my medical files, I went through them, and I noticed, right, that day, and it listed that I demanded to have an epidural. I didn't demand it, people. And when I read that, I looked back and I remembered, no. That nurse came up and asked me if I wanted an epidural. I said, no, it's okay, you know, because I'm cracking jokes. John was there. I was here, right? You know, we were waiting for the doctor. I said, no, I don't need. She says, well, you know, you can have it. You just, right, blah, 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 blah. And I think I did agree to it. I said, oh, okay. But I didn't demand it, people. It was something that she came and asked me and then kind of talked me into it for whatever reason. But in the file, it was listed down that I demanded it. So they gave me the epidural, but it was pointless because Shimei was coming anyway, right? Like, it was fast. So just with stuff like that, I can take it back to 95. Then I can take it back to 98. Then I can take it back to 2003. And then so on and so on and so on and so on. And, what was I saying? Because, you know, there's just, that's how they get you. If you're a targeted family, that's how they get you. You think you're safe when your kids are young and when they're being born, but you end up finding out sooner or later. You know? Anyway. So, now, you know what's going on with this? It's kind of making me feel sick. Because, you know, it's hard, right? And I've been, like, putting in long hours. So it makes me feel sick. Because I'm working on exhaustion. After 12 hours, I'm working on exhaustion. This is making it worse to the point where I am thinking to do this. See if it clears out some of the fuzziness. Still dark, still gray. But, I don't know. So as I'm going through this paperwork, because we know I'm doing it for my grandkids and my kids, okay? We're also doing it for Shimei, Sierra, Uncle John. So I'm doing it for everybody. And when I go to court, I'm bringing the kids with me on the first day so the judge can see who I represent. Okay? Because it's too easy to throw away the dead. Shimei's dead and gone, insignificant. Uncle John's dead, gone, insignificant. Right? Sierra's dead, gone, insignificant. Well, that's your opinion, Your Honor. They're not. Okay? Because they're just waiting for me to die. And I have to remind myself not to die. Because sooner or later, I'm going to die. And when that day comes, when I realize I'm dying, I'll be crying to stay. Because I want to make sure that my grandkids and my kids will be safe. Not even about having a quality of life. It's be safe. Okay? Because right now, as far as I'm concerned, they're not safe. Nobody's been safe for a long time. And that's the point, and that's why I continue to do what I do. To point that out to the government that they're full of freaking boo-boo hogwash. How about that? Power of attorney. I have to read it. Again. Coroners Act. I have to familiarize my... Oh, sorry. Did you see that? I have to read it and familiarize myself with it and highlight where it's applicable to Sierra and Shimei as I work on the Power of Attorney Act among other acts with Uncle John. And that's not including what I'm going to do for Amari and Andre yet. Under those legislations and acts, okay? With my eyes like this. Right? We know I can't get cataract surgery until after court. And it's wintertime. And even then, I don't know how that's going to work. Tisha said I'm going to have to go and hang out with her and sleep on the couch so that, you know, she can help me and stuff. I'm like, I don't know about that, Tisha. So whatever cataract surgery would do, I'm not going to get no benefit of that, assuming that there are no side effects or risk factors, that I'm one of the unlucky ones, right? It ain't happening until wintertime, at least. And who knows what my landlords are going to do? Seriously, do you see how that just came up? Right? Do you see how that just came up? Right? New or old, I don't know what they're going to do, because I just don't know. More reason to focus on this right now. So we know I have to read the Coroner's Act. It's actually quite thick. Okay? Because as I tidy up on Uncle John stuff and fine-tune it, refamiliarize myself with these various acts. There's another one I have to go look for. This one. Which one is it? This one is, yeah, it's an act. This one right here, I have to pull up that one. I used to have nice writing. I can barely read now. The Healthcare Consent and Care Facility Admission Act. Okay? Because, and there's another one or two more in there yet that relate to Uncle John, the Community Care and Assisted Living Act, Residential Care Regulations. Okay? I have to read all that all over again, and a few other ones, to refamiliarize myself so I can get in touch with those acts and legislations. Then I have to refamiliarize myself with the Criminal Code of Canada and the various breaches under those codes and sections to present my case, where that whatever Eleanor did, she did because they were spying on us, people. She did that on February 20th in terms of she got herself signed on as enduring power of attorney, because I went over the more paperwork from CIBC Bank in terms of their document list. It was just on one page, right? And the enduring power of attorney that was signed to Eleanor, John's sister, happened on February 20th of 2015. And it was more than likely witnessed by that Sharon, the Punjabi British social worker. The one that screeched at us on the 17th of February, saying that John was never going to come back home by any means necessary. Okay? I think she's the one who witnessed Eleanor appointing herself. To which, under certain acts and legislations, they're not supposed to do that. But they did it anyway. And they did it because they thought they could do it because it's listed in those acts and regulations, but they just didn't do it legally. Because they thought that whatever I did with Uncle John on that day, or on the 19th or 17th or whatever it was, I think it was maybe the 17th, after we had that meeting where I had John on camera do a living will, in terms of, let's document it right now. I'll put it up on YouTube, John, so that people know what's going on in terms of, to the best of our ability, to explain what was going on, and to just remind people where you're, I guess you could say, wishes have been for the last 22 years or more. Well, since 1995, really, because that's when he wrote his will, right? But even before that, right? And so I guess they took that for face value. I'm looking for the card that was stamped that, I hate that when I have something and then I misplace it. I have that guy's card still. Almost lost that one. Oh, here it is. Yeah. I went back on, they moved him on the 23rd of February, people. Because like I said, I left on the 19th of February, 2015, after doing a video with John where he's telling me to go get a lawyer. It was either on the 17th or the 19th where we did a living will where I wrote what he basically wanted, right, in terms of if something should happen to him, whether, whatever, through death or through going bonkers, you know, this was what he wanted. He signed it. I witnessed it. We witnessed it on camera. I think Tisha signed it. We didn't really want to bother the people around, so, you know, we did it symbolically. We did it symbolically, people, because John and I knew we already had the original enduring power of attorney from 1990 and the power of attorney that was signed in on 2001 because the bank called us in. And when we registered John's account at CIBC Bank in 1990, it was the bank who approached John and said, who has our, you know, blah, and they said, oh, they're the ones who signed the paperwork in their office, okay? And then in 2001, they called us in and said, well, here, you need to do power of attorney now, okay? So we did that. And everything just sat dormant until John ended up in the hospital in 2015, and then all of a sudden, his bat-out-of-hell sisters showed up and medically kidnapped him. So on the 19th, John's telling me to go get a lawyer. Okay, I have to get into those videos, right? And that's why the playlist, right? But I can't. I only have so many hours in a day. And because they were spying on us, which is illegal in one of these acts, one of these community care acts. It falls under a community care act in terms of how they run the places, okay? That's when Eleanor showed up and took it upon herself to get John to sign a form that she could tell him anything, people, and he would sign it, and he wouldn't know what he was signing, okay? Because he can't see, right? Like I said, I was the one doing all the paperwork all these years, okay? And so she could have told him one thing, but put something else in front of him, and he wouldn't have known the difference. So depending on the type of form that she, or letter, or however, whatever she used to have him supposedly sign over enduring. Okay, so now I have to go and I'm like, okay, you know what kind of enduring means, right? But it's been so long. This video's getting long, man. It's been so long that you're going to have to read it over again. And you have to read it from the time that it was applicable, because now it's 2022. This was in 2015. If a judge tries to tell me, well, it's not applicable because there's been an amendment that happened in 2019, I'll be like, no, boo-boo fucker. Whoops, sorry, boo-boo. Mother boo-boo. No. Mother boo-boo. It ain't happening. Because John was medically kidnapped in 2015, so we play by 2015 Power of Attorney Act rules. You can't change the rules. years later just because you remove something or rescinded it or do whatever you do so that you're not going to be held to account because it was applicable in 2015. Right? So I need to read this, hone in on enduring power of attorney, then they threw the word around general attorney, right? Because Eleanor chose to do the enduring power attorney first. She had Sharon, more than likely, because of the document list that CIBC gave me, lists Sharon providing medical files. Why would Sharon provide medical files to CIBC Bank in and around at that time? Right? What does enduring power of attorney mean? Okay? I forgot. I think I know. But I had mine since 1990. John didn't get medically kidnapped until 2015. That was 25 years later. His sister had 25 years to rescue John, and she didn't. From whatever it was that she was accusing me of. And this is the part that the judge doesn't want to hear, and this is the part that these lawyers for these corporations try to cover up with their, like a dog or like a cat, you know, just burying, they go buries, at least a dog buries a bone to eat later. This is, I don't know what this is, people, but this is the part that they dance around, and then because they can't dance around it, they create their little mini trial and throw it out without ever addressing it. Enduring power of attorney. Here, it's right here. Oh, it doesn't say. When I get to it, I'll let you know. I'll write it out because I have to, when I go to court, it's like that first day. You have to be able to boop, 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 boop. And even then, they will throw it out. But I'm going to ask the judge to appoint a lawyer, to approve a lawyer through legal aid to help me with this, to make it easy on everybody, right? Otherwise, I'll go back and do it again. I won't tell them that. I'll just say, you know, these are my circumstances. These are my grandkids. One is this, the other one's that. This is my situation, or you know, right. But here's my document lists, okay? So to make it easy for other people, in terms of if you don't want to deal with me for 10 fucking days, 10 boo-boo days in a courthouse, going like this, reading and doing whatever, right? If you don't want to deal with that, then appoint a lawyer and let the lawyer deal with it on your terms. But at least we'll get it settled. Seriously. Otherwise, if they're going to throw it out, people, everything will be ready to go. I'll just file another one for discrimination and the ongoing targeting of my family. As I'm out in the yard working, getting hit up by more energy weapons to the point where eventually I'll be completely blind. And then after that, I don't know what's going to happen. Okay? So anyway, this is the day. This is the day when they took John away in the hammock. Because as they were leaving, does it say Old Yale? Yes, it does. There it does right there. Right there. See? Yale Road. It was on Yale Road. It was the old Yale Road care facility. Right here. As I was leaving, I got a card, and I had them put the date on there, what day it was, and I had them stamp it. So it was on the 23rd that I went back after the 19th because of the rumorvilles, right? The whispering, the subtle accusations, the snide behavior, the retaliatory behavior, right? Plus, I was trying to contact John, right? And, not John, sorry, Paul. Paul, the lawyer, right? Because John told me to go get a lawyer. So I went home after seeing John on the 19th, probably started calling Paul on the 20th, right? Trying to get him to call me back and do whatever, and taking care of Andre and, whatever I had to get caught up with, laundry or whatever, right? And then I left it for a couple days, obviously, because I was disturbed of what was going on. It's not easy walking into a hornet's nest where people are like ready to attack you, basically. Not necessarily physically, but when I went there at 1 o'clock, it was around 1. And that would have been after lunch, people. That would have been after lunch. And he was passed out like a doorknob in his hammock as they were loading him up with that. And that woman that said, "Get out of here, you're being rude and disrespectful," was probably Eleanor. People. And the only thing that prevented me from going to that hammock was Andre. I didn't want to draw Andre into a bunch of freaking drama. So I just went to the nurse's station. And when the doctor confirmed that he had been released, and then they wanted me to talk to this social worker, they said, "Hold on, wait, we'll call, so-and-so." I said, "No, I'm out of here." That's fine. Because I knew I could go home and call Paul. And Paul would help me within his capacity to help me. And he did. He helped me for quite a few months, really, to the best of his ability. Without payment, I might add. Okay? It got to the point, though, where he started getting pressure from he was with a corporation, right? And I guess the board directors or whoever, or the bar or whoever, they told him to back off and not help me anymore. He told me, right, that he couldn't really go much further than what he had already done because it was drawing a negative attention and he could have gotten into trouble for it. But he was there for quite a few months helping me through whatever I was going through. And so, yeah, I went back on the 23rd. So that's when they actually put him in the hammock, people, all drugged up on that day. After on the 19th, he told me to go get Paul. While on the 20th of that month, his sister, after the 19th, immediately went the next day and re-signed herself on as the enduring power of attorney with a witness from Fraser Health, which more than likely would have been that social worker, Sharon. And they loaded him up in the ferry on the 23rd under sedation. And then when they crossed over the ferry, I guess he was kind of waking up, or they knew he would wake up, either or. And they immediately took him to the Victoria General Hospital and said, "Look how we found him." And that is basically being told by one of the persons who was there in terms of Eleanor's daughter, Cheryl. So yeah, the good fight is for Uncle John, okay? Definitely. And through fighting for Uncle John, we actually inadvertently fight for Auntie Joan, because for all Joan's problems, she didn't deserve to have that water with the IV turned off, because the doctor in 2012 in December, when he first met her, said, "You have 1 year to live. That's it." And then come December of 2013, after being in that care home for 1 year, that's basically what they did. They turned off the water and let her die without water going into her IV. So if Uncle John gets justice, so does Joan. It took John and I a little while to figure it out, but we figured it out. Okay? But whatever they did to Uncle John and even Auntie Joan, they turned around and they took it and they applied it to tens of thousands of people across this province, where thousands of them lost their lives because of the shenanigans of what our governments are doing to us. Okay? Whether it's children, the youth, individuals such as myself, the old people. And if these immigrants think that after we're gone, that it ain't gonna come their way, and whatever they freaking fostered won't happen to them, well, I think a lot of them are gonna get a rude awakening. Whereas some of them, I think, are just down and out implants, because they like to use the same individual over and over and over again to get the job done. Seen that with that bank teller, right? But then a lot of those other workers at the bank were shady too, because as soon as they opened up my bank file, they seen that there was flags on there, and sorry, you can't have a copy of your enduring power of attorney. No, we're not going to tell you what the dispute is. And that's another thing. On my last video when I was talking about this, I was, I eventually found out that it was John's sister that I was, quote unquote, in dispute with. But in the beginning, I'd have to go into my videos and watch to figure out the exact time when I did finally find out who I was in dispute with, because it was quite a long time before I even found out who I was in dispute with. Okay? But it's interesting that Eleanor should request enduring power of attorney one day after John told me to go get Paul, as we did a living will just for symbolic purposes, not that we needed to do it because we already had it in terms of the enduring power of attorney, the power of attorney. Okay? I had those legitimately signed on with the bank for 25 years. Okay? Whereas John's sister just came in one day after thinking she could bypass the Community Assisted Living Act or whatever freaking act that this stuff falls under, and appoint herself, which she shouldn't have done, with the witnessing of I have video recording of a enemy that clearly didn't have the best interests of John in terms of being with his family, the one that he lived with, right? Because she got bribed, people. She got paid off, people. She got something from it. And because the government doesn't come in and do independent audits to make sure that the clientele are receiving the best service, like we asked for a lawyer. We were requesting for a lawyer. The best that we got was just a pamphlet to take us to legal aid to go get a lawyer. They're supposed to give you legal representation if you ask for it. They didn't give no, I'm pretty sure that's in the Legislative Act. They didn't provide no access to lawyers, but their lawyers need to be in there representing those old people. And if, right? Anyway. So as I'm doing that, and then see, I'll show you. These are the cards I stole. I'm going to cover up, I guess, the last four numbers. Let's see how I can do this. So you can see I'm not faking no funk here. Okay, this one's Uncle John's card. Okay, look at the date. Where's my finger? There. What am I seeing here? Do you see that? Do you see his name? Okay. This, remember I told you? I got new cards. These ones are John's. That was the replacement card for this. I don't know what I'm seeing here. Something's picking up. Maybe it's this thing. Yeah, that thing's giving off a glare on my... Okay, so, here. Do you see? 2013 expiry date. Do you see his name? John Duncan. Same card number. That was the new one that they kicked out. But they weren't so concerned about this one because this one was John's card. Okay? Okay? This is what they tried to kick out. Which one is which? I don't know. I'll have to double check these. Been a long time, right? As soon as they took John, I closed my credit card. It was at $19,000. We were going to start paying down credit cards. I have to go into my paperwork to verify. Okay, this one's John's. That's his credit card, which expired in 2015, I guess. And then one of these ones here, $17, $19, $19. So I don't know. I have to get into my paperwork and double check everything in terms of what lines up with what when it comes to numbers. But this was the one that they probably kicked out. I don't know. I have to double check these cards. Now, mind you, when you hand in your card, they take them back. So maybe I had to use bank statements or something. Point is, Eleanor appointed herself one day after spying on John and I with Sharon, the Punjabi screeching British social worker, who said that John wasn't going home by any means necessary on the 17th, falsely appointing themselves as John's enduring power of attorney so that they could go, Eleanor could go the next day to the bank. I don't know if she went in person. She had to because she had it on a piece of paper. What paper she used, I don't know. It wasn't anything that was done in the bank like when John and I did it in 1990. That's why when I was reading what I was reading, it was coming in at a later date. And then, because I had the two powers of attorney, I guess the bank had to get involved, confirmed that I had been abusing John all those years so that they could justify doing what they did, so they could seal the deal with Eleanor, even though they never really truly investigated how they even got to that point where they could take that kind of money and just think that they could destroy lives. Somebody got a bribe. Somebody got a bribe in that process. Did everybody get a bribe? No. But somebody got a bribe. Okay? And then we have our Royal Bank cards, which are closed. Oh, there's other cards in here. I just seen another one. Which those people ended up phoning the bank, the Royal Bank, and tried to say that John was a retard, didn't know what he was doing when we opened up this account, and that he wasn't going to take any responsibility for the $3,000 credit card that I was paying off because he was a retard in the year 2000. Because you have to remember, John came to me bankrupt. I was thinking about that. I'm thinking I even helped him with his bankruptcy. That was his second bankruptcy. Joan and him bankrupt, or he paid it. I don't know what the hell, but I think I helped John when he moved into my house. He ended up going bankrupt, and I helped him with that. So he couldn't get credit. That's why everything went into my name, people. That's why I'm the one that got the credit. That's why I took on the debt load. And to build his credit up again, because that's what he wanted. And I said, fine. What we did is we opened up a Royal Bank, and we did joint, and we got credit card. And that's how he started to build up his credit again over a period of years, and then CIBC Bank ended up giving him a credit card. But it initially started with me, with Royal. So I'm just going to re-familiarize myself with all this stuff. And that's why they don't want to give me the documents, because it's listed in that their response back to me. They say they don't want to give me the documents. Yeah, because they don't want me to see that enduring empower attorney with whatever. Because they know they can go in front of a judge, slap down their evidence, and the judge will buy it hook, line, and sinker because he's bought off, and they won't even look at mine. And if they pretend that they will, they'll be, are you done yet? Well, but I have to do this for my grandkids. And I have to do this for justice for Uncle John. Justice for, I wanted to say Auntie Joan, only because they're together. Obviously for Shimei and for Sierra. Definitely for Amari. Because he has to live at the mercy of these things. Because they're things, okay? Andre, my kids, my other little grandkids, and lastly but not least, for my neighbors who are being targeted. So it's really hard figuring out how to balance it over. but I'm doing. I did this today. So far. Let's end it on a good note. This is my folder. I have another folder with the original notice of civil claim, but this is the response from CIBC and whatnot, so we got that started. We know how I like to work in this, no, right? So I have to sticky tape dates and what they are, and I'm debating whether I should be thinking about, well, I'm going to try scanning some stuff and making PDF files and putting them on a flash drive and see if I can submit documents that way versus having to spend $1,000 or more, $1,000 or more on paper. So I have sets of 3s. So I'm going to attempt to try and do a few flash drives, but I'm not sure what I should be scanning first. I don't know. And then, oops, that's the last thing we want to do. This one is Amari stuff. This is up-to-date, current, in terms of all the things that I have to do. Now, mind you, they're in plastic, right? You know, in terms of filling out forms for, you know, transportation requests or just whatever. Patients, you know, when they book an appointment for him, whatever. So I'm just putting his stuff. He has another binder, by the way. This is just stuff that never got filed. Looks like there's some doctor stuff in here too, but I thought I pulled out his medical records, and I hadn't done this yet with them. And when I went to go do CIBC bank stuff, two of them should have been together, and I can't find them now. So I'm wondering if I have a mole running through my house that comes through some portal or something, scatters things around because, you know, right? But mind you, I'm going through lots and lots of paperwork, and I'm doing over here, over there, over here, and over there, right? So I may have just misplaced it. And if I can't find it, I'll just put another application in with the Surrey Memorial Hospital to get Amari's medical records from there, right? Before I do that, I'll see if I can find them. So there's that. So I did those two anyway. So, and then I went off and grabbed a whole bunch more paper, and I'm just getting them kind of ready to, but it's very dark, very cloudy, hard to see. And I'm like, when did this happen? And if I had to put a time on it, honestly, people, it was like after that shit outside. And my eyes went cloudy for like 4 hours, where I could barely see. I was in a dark fog. You know those fogs where you can't see in front of you? That kind of fog. For 4 hours. Could barely see. And then when my eyes recovered, this is what I've been left with. I have this bottle, and I've got another bottle. Now, mind you, this is from November of 2020, and more than likely it's still okay. But I can't even squeeze it. So even if I try to use these until such time I could see a specialist, because I'm still waiting for a referral, right? I guess the one that prescribed me this stuff doesn't want to see me anymore. I wouldn't be surprised. Kind of like my family doctor. Go take me to court. right? The more they can disconnect me from this kind of stuff, falls in line with that gang stalking and wearing you down. I don't, you know, I can't use it. I can't use it any more than I couldn't use it when I got it. How about that? So I'm just sitting here being that duck. Quack, 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 quack. Right?